Hello everyone and welcome back to my Skyrim Ranking Things series. This is, I think, the third episode. I don't know what order I'm uploading these in, but for me this is the third one. Today we're going to be ranking every single Conjuration spell in Skyrim. Let's go. Before we begin, I want to say, like I said in my previous videos, Typical Pirate, who is a YouTuber who has done this before, is one of the inspirations for this series, so I'll leave a link to his channel and his video in the description as, you know, credit where credit is due. After this video, if you want to check out his, by all means. But yeah, let's get started. So in the novice conjuration spells, we have the first one being a bound dagger. The bound weapons I actually really love. For each of each respective bound weapon, it has the same base damage as its Daedric counterpart. However, only if you get the Mystic Binding perk. So just a regular bound sword, or sorry, the Southbound dagger. Just a regular bound dagger will have about the same damage, I believe, as a steel dagger. It should be noted that this is a Dragonborn DLC weapon that I believe you can only get from Neloth. It costs 32 to cast, and it lasts for 2 minutes. So it lasts for a good amount of time. It's very cheap, and if you have the perk that allows mystic weapons to do regular damage, it will be as good as a Daedric weapon. Personally, by the time you go to Solstheim, you're so far above this weapon that it's really just a novelty. Unless you like mod or cheat it in at the beginning. It's like, why would you ever want to use this as opposed to really any other weapon? Bound dagger, it's cool, but I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 10. I would never use it. I never have used it. It's not that great. Next up is bound sword, which, as I explained, has the same base damage as a Daedric sword, and it's novice. So you can get this from literally like any court mage. Like Farengar has bound sword, and not only will you level up conjuration and one-handed by using it, giving you double XP, you have from the beginning of the game access to a very powerful weapon. And the only real way for any other weapon to compete is by having good enchantments. So if you have a very good weapon but its enchantment ran out, this is a great backup. Or if you're just a mage, this is also a great way of, you know, getting extra XP and sticking to your magic roots. Next up is Conjure Familiar. Oh sorry, I didn't even rank it, did I? Bound sword is gonna be a I'm gonna have to say 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. Every magic build I use this, and some warrior builds I even end up using this. It's a very great weapon. 8 out of 10. Conjure Familiar I actually very dislike. Now, in order to get Conjuration to level 25 so that you can actually unlock apprentice spells is very like tedious, especially if you're not playing as a Breton. If you're playing as like any other race that starts with level 15 or 20 Conjuration, it's really annoying, and it does not help at all that Conjure Familiar gives absolutely no XP. So not only are you forced to stick with this weapon for a lot longer than, or this summon a lot longer than you would like to, it's very bad. It's literally just a ghost wolf. It does no damage, which is expected for a novice spell, but the fact that it takes so long for you to progress naturally to apprentice, I think drags this down quite heavily. Unless of course you use bound sword or raise zombie, which you can level up a bit quicker, but if you're doing conjuration strictly for summoning, it's quite tedious. So Conjure Familiar, 3 out of 10. I really dislike it. Next up is Raise Zombie. Now, Necromancy in Skyrim is very fun and actually, in my opinion, underrated. I don't use it much, and I have not seen many people use it much. But Raise Zombie basically allows you to reanimate a dead body to fight for you for 60 seconds, but it's only a weak one, right? All of the different Conjuration Necromancy spells are leveled, so Raise Zombie is like a bandit, maybe a bandit outlaw, or like, you know, a mud crab, a skeever, a wolf, but you can't really get like anything above that. Raise Zombie, it's fun, you know. Actually, in my opinion, Necromancy is better than summoning at this stage in the game, as what are your options, really? A Conjure Familiar, basically an undead wolf, or a bandit, right? Like, you can reanimate a bandit, which basically gives you like a follower, which is obviously a lot better than a wolf. But yeah, pretty good. Raise Zombie, I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 10. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. But that's Novice. Now let's move up to Apprentice. Bound Battle Axe is the first one, and I actually really like it. I wish I could use it more. I think the idea of like using a magical battle axe and like creating a warrior, like a heavy duty magical warrior. I think the idea of that is fucking sick. But the issue is you kind of have to get Apprentice Conjuration. But if you're using two-handed weapons, you know, it's kind of awkward to get to the stage where you can actually unlock it. Either way, it's pretty powerful. Like I said, Daedric Battle Axe. And I don't know, I really love it actually. Bound Battle Axe, I don't use it often, but it's pretty solid. If you play, it's kind of strange because it's like you wouldn't use it really if you were a mage, but you also wouldn't use it if you're a warrior. So for that, I'm gonna have to give it a 4 out of 10. It's quite good, but it's like its usability does not neatly fit in with most builds in my opinion. Right, next up we have Conjure Boneman. This is a Dawnguard one. There's actually 3 Dawnguard summons. Conjure Boneman summons a Boneman archer for 60 seconds wherever the caster is pointing. Now this is actually great. I love the 3 Dawnguard ones because they add sort of an in-between. If you don't want to use like summon like Daedric stuff like the Flame Atronach or any Atronach really, but you also don't want to use Necromancy, then the Boneman, Wraithman, and all that stuff adds a nice like third option. I think it's pretty powerful. In fact, that it's an archer, I would say, does not give it much use, as archers have questionable accuracy and they have the negative that they don't tank for you. So Conjure Boneman, I mean, it's better than Conjure Familiar, it's better than Raise a Zombie, but personally, if I'm at the stage of the game where I've completed most of the Dawnguard DLC and I have this unlocked, I'm probably not going to be using the Apprentice one, right? So for this, I might even just say like 2 out of 10. It's not good. It's good. If you could get it early in the game, it's good. But unfortunately, you kind of just get it later on once you've actually kind of established a build and it doesn't really fit in neatly. So yeah, 2 out of 10. Next up is Conjure Flame Atronach. Now, I don't think this needs any introduction. You all know what a Flame Atronach is. It's the there's the three Atronachs, right? Flame, Frost, and Shock. Flame does decent damage in melee, but lots of damage ranged. Frost does lots of damage melee, but like it actually doesn't have a ranged attack. And then Shock Atronach does good melee and good ranged. So that's the 3. Flame Atronach is weak to ice, which is a pretty solid negative because I think the most common form of magic in Skyrim is ice. You know, Restless Draugr have it, pretty much any Draugr have it, high level of Forsworn have it, Bandit Mages always seem to fucking use it. Being weak to Frost, not very great, but it's incredibly useful, and for a very little investment into Conjuration, it's very, very great. I almost always use Conjure Flame Atronach in any playthrough, and it's even good enough that you don't need to upgrade past it. Like you don't need to get any other Flame Atronach or any other upgraded Atronach. So I'm gonna have to say 10 out of 10. Conjure Flame Atronach is an amazing spell for any build really. And I would always use it if I could. Reanimate Corpse is the upgraded version of Raise a Zombie. You can reanimate more powerful undead things. The thing about Reanimate Corpse is if you actually invest into Necromancy, like the perks in the tree, you can like dual cast it. That makes it more powerful. And if you can get the perk that makes it even more powerful, Reanimate Corpse is pretty much all you need for most of the game if you get those 2 perks. So Reanimate Corpse, if you do Necromancy, it's an absolute 10 out of 10. So I'm going to say 10 out of 10. Like if you actually invest into it, this will carry you until you get pretty much to the very end. Reanimate Corpse is very, very powerful. Next up is Summon Arniel's Shade. This is kind of interesting. I've seen this before. I've never got it. I didn't even know it existed. Apparently you can summon Arniel Gain, who is like one of the College Winterhood people. Apparently if you complete his quests, he will become a spell. He's not very powerful and it costs 0. I think it's kind of funny. I'm not gonna rank it because I never used it and I don't know if it is meant to be used, so I'm not gonna rank it, but I just thought I would mention it. It seems interesting and it's something that does exist. Alright, next up is Summon Arvak, another Dawnguard spell. Summons the horse Arvak wherever you're pointing. It costs 140 magicka. Arvak is very great because, okay, so he lasts 60 seconds, but if you're riding him, he will not dissipate. So the thing I love about this is it's basically like a horse whistle. Like, you know what I hate? I hate when you're playing survival mode, your horse is all the way in solitude, and you're like down in your Falkreath or something. The only way to get your horse to teleport to you is by fast traveling, and in survival mode, you can't fast travel. So Summon Arvak is like an infinite never dying horse that's free, and you can summon wherever you are in the game. Like, this is an 11 out of 10. I would honestly say Summon Arvak is the best spell in the entire game, without a doubt. It's the most useful, most convenient, and I mean, like, and anybody could use it. Like, I don't see any downside to Summon Arvak. And that's it for Apprentice. Now the Adept spells, you have Banish Daedra, which I think is interesting. Weaker summoned Daedra are sent back to Oblivion. What it means is it just instantly kills it. For a cost of 200 magicka, I would almost say it's probably more worth it to just use destruction and kill it yourself, you know? I think, so it says weaker summoned Daedra. Basically, I think that means like just Flame Frost and Shock Atronachs. Like it's not gonna banish like a full-on Daedra, I don't believe. Like a Dremora? I don't believe so. I've never used it. I've never needed to use it. Even if you have the perk that makes adept spells 50% less to cast, you're looking at a 100 magicka just to kill like one Flame Atronach, when instead you could just kill whoever summoned it. Like I don't know. I feel like and especially if the person who summoned it, once it dies, just summons it again, then you really just wasted magicka. Banished Daedra, I would say 2 out of 10, really. Who the fuck is using this? Now, Bound Bow. Bound Bow is phenomenal. Like I said, bound weapons have the base damage of a Daedric weapon once you get the Mystic Binding perk. I believe that's the one it's called. Anyways, create a magic bow for 120 seconds and sheath to dispel. Not only does it have a very powerful bow, but it has infinite arrows. Well, it has 100, but every time you summon it, you get 100 to start with. So you're obviously not going to use 100 arrows in 2 minutes. You'd have to shoot like 1 arrow every second, which is just not possible. Bound bow is very powerful. If you guys know about the old Skyrim secret, this is like such an OG secret slash tip. In Fort Amal prison, in the corner underneath a lantern in a bucket, there's a bound bow spellbook. I wonder how anyone even figured this shit out. But yeah, there's a bound bow spellbook that you can get at level 1. And if you're a high elf with like 1 perk point put into magicka and a novice hood, you can use it. Very OP for stealth builds, very OP for speedrunning the game. Bound bow, although like in any other circumstance, unless you're like trying to purposefully sequence break by doing the Fort Amal thing, in any other circumstance, I wouldn't use it. Especially because it's a magic bow, but most Conjuration users are going to, you know, be mages, but why would you want a bow if you're a mage, right? Like your entire thing is throwing fireballs and shit. You don't need arrows, which is just naturally an inferior method. The only reason I would see you using it is the fact that it's only 100 magicka when you have the perk. And it can deal a lot of damage compared to what 100 magicka could do with, you know, firebolts or something. Anyways, this video is getting long, so let's speed it up a little bit. Bound bow, 6 out of 10. Conjure Ash Spawn. It's a Dragonborn DLC. One. It's basically the same model as a Storm Atronach, but it's an Ash Spawn. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Conjure Ash Spawn, summons an Ash Spawn, which is actually badass as hell. Ash Spawn is so cool. I have never used this. Well, I have once, but I never really used it, aside from just testing. Really cool. Pretty powerful too, actually. Like, I would say, if you don't want to use Flame Atronach, this is definitely like a great alternative. Conjure Ash Spawn, it's niche, but I'm gonna have to say 5 out of 10, just average. Conjure Frost Atronach, I already described to you what it is. It's a big melee Atronach, very powerful actually. I have limited use out of it, but I did a Cryomancer build video in which I used Frost Atronachs a lot, and goddamn, they're so good. They're so amazing. Frost Atronach, I'm gonna have to say, is an 8 out of 10. Very useful. Not as good as Storm or Flame, but goddamn, it's good. Conjure Mistman is another Dawnguard one. It summons a Mistman, which is basically like I think it's the magic one. Right, so you have Mistman, Boneman, and Wrathman. Boneman is an archer, Mistman is a mage, and Wrathman is like a sword wielding guy, to my knowledge. Mistman, it's adept. Like by the time you get this, you probably are gonna be an adept. I mean, I would say it's good actually. I would say it's good. 7 out of 10. Not good as Frost, not as good as Flame, but goddamn, it's pretty solid, eh? Next up is Conjure Seeker. This is a Dragonborn one. His Seekers are the little, or not the little, the big, scary tentacle guys that you see in Mirax, like dungeons in Apocrypha. I could never get much usage out of these guys. They're just weak. They're just weak in my opinion. Conjure Seeker, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10 even. It's bad. It's just bad. Now, expert level spells. Conjure Ash Guardian. This is what I was talking about a second ago. Now this is actually really bad because you need heart stones in your inventory to use. But it creates an Ash Guardian that guards the location it's spawned in indefinitely until it's destroyed. But like I said, you have to have Heartstones, which is such a tedious thing and annoying thing to get. The fact that it never despawns or dies until it's physically killed is almost interesting, but I could not think of a situation that this would be, you know, instrumental in. Like maybe, I mean, I don't even know. It doesn't do great damage. Like it does, it's relatively strong, I would admit. Like it's pretty strong actually, but like the fact that it doesn't die and it kind of just sits in that spot forever, I don't see that as a bonus. I feel like I would want my Atronachs to follow me, you know? Ash Guardian, like 3 out of 10. It probably has some niche usages, honestly. Now, Command Daedra. Command Daedra is kind of cool. It basically, any Daedra that an enemy summons, if you use it on them, it will allow you it'll basically convert it to be under your control. So if an enemy summons a Frost Atronach, you use this on them, and then the Frost Atronach is yours, which I think is, you know, kind of funny. You turn their summons against them. I think it's great. I've actually had this used against me by some enemies, some high-level enemies. God damn, is it annoying. I could never, I mean, I would much rather just summon my own Daedra, you know? For the cost of 240 magicka, I could just summon my own, you know? I don't see the use. Like, yeah, it also technically eliminates them as a threat, and it controls them, but I don't know, I would just rather summon my own. Command Daedra, I would say 4 out of 10. It has its uses, it's good, it's just not for me. Conjure Dremora Lord. This is the most powerful summon in the game, without a shadow of a doubt. Dremora Lord is like a Dremora Lord. Two-handed, big sword, big Daedra guy, come fuck shit up for you. Granted, it's extremely expensive with a cost of 360, so you have to be like very highly advanced in Conjuration to really use it. But you know, if you're at this stage in the game that you could use it, you're gonna be using it very, you know, very good. It's gonna be amazing. Conjure Dremora Lord, I would have to say like 10 out of 10. I mean, it's just amazing. I could not see a situation that I would not want this to be with me, especially if you have 2, like, oh my god, just amazing. Next is Conjure Wraithman. Like I said, Wraithman from the Sword of Karen. When your alternative is a Dremora Lord or like a Storm Atronach, why would you pick Wraithman? 0 out of 10 actually, like just straight 0 out of 10. Storm Atronach, I've already explained what a Storm Atronach is. If you don't know, I already explained. Storm Atronach, I'm gonna have to say, it's also an 8 out of 10. Like, all of the Atronachs are very good. 8 out of 10 in my opinion, especially if you can have 2 at once. Dread Zombie. Reanimate a very powerful dead body to fight for you for 60 seconds. This is the best reanimation spell in the game, even better than Dead Thrall, which I will get into in a second. But Dread Zombie is great because it works on anything that's dead, and it works on anything that's very powerful, and it can dual cast it to make it even more powerful and get the perk to make it even more and more powerful. Just amazing. There's almost nothing you can't reanimate with Dread Zombie. Granted, it's only for 60 seconds, but that's par for the course. Dread Zombie, 7 out of 10. And Expel Daedra. It expels any Daedra back to oblivion for 200 magicka. Even the very powerful ones. It's just, there's just not many Daedra to use this on, you know? And for 200 magicka, like, even if you're, like, yeah, it won't be that expensive when you actually use it. You would have, like, reductions and shit. But even if it's, like, 60, I just feel like it's lame. I'd rather kill them in hand-to-hand combat, you know? Anyways, the master level spells is 4 of them. Storm, Frost, and Flame Thrall, and Dead Thrall. So Storm Thrall is the exact same thing as a Storm Atronach, except it's more powerful, and it's permanent. Meaning that it can die, like if something kills it, it dies, but it doesn't run out of time. So if you summon it and you wait like 20 in-game days, it will still be with you. So Storm Thrall is the same thing as Storm Atronach, but more powerful and infinitely lasting. Frost Thrall is the same thing, but for, you know, I'm sure you can connect the dots. Frost Thrall is the better Frost Atronach, Flame Thrall is the better Infinite Flame Atronach. All 3 of these, I'm gonna have to give a 7 out of 10. Now that sounds confusing, because I think I gave, like, I gave the Atronach versions much higher ratings, but the fact that it's permanent is meaningless to me. It is super expensive, which means you'd have to summon it before going into combat, which I guess is fair enough, because it's not like it has a time limit, but, I mean, if I want a Flame Atronach, at this stage in the game, it's basically free. Like, I don't need to worry about. And as a matter of fact, I kind of don't care about it dying. Right? It's not like I get attached to my Atronach. I don't think they're useful. In fact, they can get annoying. The fact that they do die is helpful. Sometimes they block the way in dungeons, and you have to like wait an hour for them to die. But with this, you can't do that. You have to physically kill them, which, you know, is risky because they could kill you. I never use them, but I can see the utility. I can see why you would use them, and I can see why they are good. It's just, for me, I don't think I would want them. 7 out of 10 for each of them. Dead Thrall is immensely powerful, but I would say it's equally as good as Dread Zombie, ironically. Dead Thrall permanently can reanimate almost any dead body, up to level 60, I believe. It can permanently reanimate it, which is fucking fantastic. Especially because if you have the perk that allows twin souls, you can have 2 permanent followers plus like a regular follower like Lydia. So it basically means you're a 4-man party walking around town, you know? It's crazy. I made a video talking about how OP it is, because it really is OP. The only thing is, it only works on humans. So you can't do Draugr. You can't do an animal, a giant, a mammoth. It has to be a human. I think that alone makes it not... It severely limits its capabilities. Granted, I don't think I would want a Draugr Deathlord. Actually, I'm straight lying. I would love to have 2 Draugr Deathlords with me. Especially because they can use shouts. Like, that's powerful, man. I wonder if you could even use it on Ulfric Stormcloak, because he can use shouts too. I don't know. Anyways, that's just a thought experiment. Anyways, Dead Thrall, 9 out of 10. I love this spell. I did say it's equally as good as Dread Zombie, because Dread Zombie can work on anything, not just humans. But yeah, 9 out of 10, Dead Thrall. It's just fantastic. That's it. This was the longest one I recorded yet. So thank you guys so much for watching the whole thing. I really, really appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like and a sub. Check out Typical Pirate, as I stated before. He did this before me, so he deserves more credit. Thanks for watching. Sub and like, and peace out.